Hey, 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 lots going on in the world, folks. We're going to get right to it. Welcome to Real Talk with Moccio. I'm Gordon A. Moccio, the G-Man, they call me. I'm coming to you straight from my lair in Putnam County, New York. Before we get underway, let me get this disclaimer out of the way, all the legal mumbo-jumbo. The views, opinions, and statements expressed in Real Talk with Moccio are those of the host and guests of the podcast and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or official positions of Gordon Vincent Associates LLC, DBA Moccio Media, or any of its subsidiaries, affiliates, or employees. This podcast is being brought to you by your local Coldwell Banker Realtor, Denise Moccio. And Denise can be reached at 845-667-4884, 845-667-4884, or you can contact her at DeniseMoccioRealty.com. That's Denise, DeniseMoccio Realty.com. Your local Coldwell Banker Realtor. Now, Coldwell Banker is located conveniently in Mahopac at 10 McMahon Place. Feel free to give Denise a call. Okay, folks, right to the meat and potatoes. Folks, let me ask you something right out of the gate. Do you feel the panic? Not just here, not just in Washington. I'm talking about out and out panic on the left on a global scale. In Europe, South America, the Caribbean, and all over the mainstream media. And boy, do I love to see them running around like chickens without heads. Folks, something big is happening in this world right now, and you have a front row seat. Take a look at Iran. The supreme leader is reportedly preparing escape plans. There are massive protests in Iran. There's regime instability. Rumors are swirling about Iran's supreme leader seeking refuge or asylum in places like Russia and China. Folks, this is not fringe speculation. That's what intelligence analysts are openly discussing. And what does our media do? They spin it as America creating chaos. They spin it as American weakness. They spin it as a reason for Americans to panic. But I'm here to assure you, what's happening worldwide does not signal American weakness. It signals a global shift towards a new world order. And the media mob and leftist elites are in panic mode. And if you're paying attention or have been paying attention, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's pan out for a moment. Iran. Mass protests. Protesters being shot. Thousands dead. Economic collapse, where inflation is over 40%. There's political infighting. The population is fed up with oppression. They want freedom. Take a look at Europe. An energy crisis, economic stagnation, open borders creating chaos, growing unrest, and the United States is slowly divorcing itself from the European Union. South America, socialist regimes are failing. There's corruption everywhere. Currency collapses. People are fleeing in droves. The Caribbean, there's gang violence, government breakdowns, U.S. embassies evacuating staff. And what do they all have in common? Their leadership and their collective mindset has failed their citizens. Now, here's the part the media does not want you to talk about. When regimes collapse, people don't flee to China. They don't flee to Russia. They don't flee to Venezuela. They flee here to the United States. Why? Because for all our problems, America still works and has worked for 250 years. But the mainstream media doesn't want you thinking that way. Oh, no. They want you scared. They want you demoralized. They want you to believe America is the great Satan. They want you to believe America's on decline. Because if you believe that, you're easier to control. Divide and conquer, folks. Divide and conquer. That's their mantra. Let me be very clear. America is not collapsing. America is not finished. America is not second rate. America remains the greatest country in the world and has been the greatest country for the last 250 years on every measurable level. Military strength, economic potential, innovation, individual freedom, opportunity, rule of law, constitutional protections. And here is what makes America different. In America, you can build success or fail on your own terms. Here, you can speak your mind freely. In America, you can live how you choose. In America, the government doesn't own your future. The American dream is not dead. It's under attack by people who don't believe in it, by people who want what you have, by outcasts of our society. And that's not coming from Iran. That's not coming from Russia. That's not coming from China. That's coming from right here at home. Gets me so angry. Why are we fighting over narratives pushed by left-wing extremists and elected officials? These elected officials, they seem more loyal to global agendas than to the American citizens. Why is the left defending open borders? Why is the left supporting people who enter this country illegally? The left knows these people are not being properly vetted. They understand the consequences of open borders. They understand the impacts on public safety, housing, schools, health care, and wages. So why do they do it? Well, because they are fundamentally hostile to the values and institutions that built this country. They don't care about you. They care about building a permanent voting bloc that will keep them in power from generations. Now, my friends on the left would have you believe that those on the right and proud MAGA Republicans like me are white supremacists, Nazis, are Islamophobic, and anti-immigration. Folks, this isn't about race. This isn't about ethnicity. This isn't about phobias. This isn't about religion. This is about law, order, sovereignty, and national survival. Think about the lunacy of the left for a moment. People are desperate to flee their homes. Now, these people, they leave their countries because their ideology has failed them miserably. They cross deserts, they cross oceans, they risk their lives, and once they get here, they demand safe haven, our tax dollars, our benefits, our housing, health care, schools, jobs, They settle in, and instead of adapting to the American way of life, they seek to impose their former laws, customs, norms on us. Folks, that's not immigration. That's cultural colonization. I'll say it again. Cultural colonization. The gall of these people. Folks, let me say something that many are going to find controversial and perhaps offensive. If you come to America, you adapt to America, not the other way around. You don't get to rewrite our Constitution. You don't get to erase our culture. You don't get to silence free speech. You don't get to redefine our laws and our values. America works because true Americans share the same values, share the same legal standards, share the same expectations, take pride in civic responsibility. When you destroy those, you destroy the country. And that's exactly what the radical left is doing. They're using mass illegal immigration as a political weapon. Why? Because dependency shifts votes to the left. Chaos creates power. Division creates control. This isn't compassion. This is a perfectly orchestrated strategy that began decades ago and is now bearing fruit. Here's another truth for you that nobody wants to say out loud. Freedom does not mean free stuff. I repeat, freedom does not mean free stuff. America is not a global charity. We are not obligated to fund the entire world's problems. We are not required to absorb every failed regime's population. We are not morally bound to bankrupt our own citizens to prove how nice we are. Many of these people, they don't want opportunity. They want entitlement. They want what you built. They want what you worked for. They want what you paid for. And they expect you to give it all up. That's not freedom, folks. That's exploitation. So, let me close with this. What's happening worldwide right now is not random. It's a reckoning. Failed ideologies are collapsing. Authoritarian regimes are wobbling. Socialist economies are imploding. And the elites are terrified. Because once people wake up, they don't go back to sleep. The American dream is still alive, folks. But only if we defend it. Only if we protect our borders. Only if we uphold our laws. Only if we reject the globalist narratives. Only if we stop apologizing for being Americans. Folks, don't fall for the panic. Don't fall for the propaganda. Don't fall for the guilt trips. America is still the beacon of freedom. And we don't need anyone's permission to stay that way. You've been listening to Real Talk with Moccio. I talk like it is, folks. Until next time.